But this gives me validation. Bitcoin decorrelates from the stock market. It decorrelates from this risk idea because it leads. It's a truth machine. It's the only free market we have left. It's the only fixed supply market in the history of mankind. The only other asset of yours you can't make any more of, no matter how hard you try, is your time. Time in Bitcoin, only fixed supply. Everything else, if there's enough demand, you'll make more. So Bitcoin is talking to us. It's telling us something. It's starting to decorrelate. In my opinion, it smells the money printer. It smells the Fed, the Treasury, and the US banking system saying, we almost crashed the economy. We are coming to save the day and print the money. Print the money. I've been saying it on this show over and over and over and over again. Bitcoin will decorrelate from the stock market. Bitcoin will trade like gold. Bitcoin will catch up to gold. Bitcoin will outperform gold this cycle. Be patient, stay humble, stack sats.
Jack Mallers makes a solid start by responding to a leaked document from the Federal Reserve that was an internal report that was never intended to be published. The document was saved by a whistleblower who uploaded it to a decentralized file sharing network. It was dated the 28th of March, 2025, and was briefly disseminated before being removed from government servers. What was written there? The Fed has lost control, to put it simply. Interest rate increases are no longer causing inflation to rise, global dollar liquidity is dwindling, and central banks are covertly selling off US Treasuries. This macro scary event is not like any other. Endgame territory is this. Mallers, who has been in the forefront of promoting Bitcoin as a lifeboat, uses strong words. As the world rushes to find a trustworthy alternative, he cautions that this is precisely what he has been preparing for: fiat systems coming apart. If you're intrigued by bold predictions and deep financial insights, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more engaging content. Thank you for your support and enjoy the video.
Okay, what's on my mind? What's today's rant? Today's rant is, if you are a frequent Money Matters listener, first of all, shout out to you. We love you. But if you are, you know that I've made a prediction this year that Bitcoin would diverge from its correlation with the stock market, and it would start to trade more like gold. It would start to trade as the independent asset it is. It does not have earnings. It does not have a CEO. It does not have a product. Bitcoin is money. Bitcoin is its own monetary policy. It's its own instrument. It's a commodity-like portfolio asset. It should not necessarily be correlated to a basket of stocks. However, it has been. I've talked about why I believe that is such the case. And I've said on this podcast and made a definitive prediction that this year, in the year 2025, we would start to see that become less correlated to the stock market. It would start to trade independently. It would go catch up to gold's performance and actually exceed gold's performance. Over the last week, since I talked to you all, that has started to play out. So first, let me share my screen of an article that was published on April 10th, 2025 by The Economist that was then taken down. Title of the article: America's financial system came close to the brink. Chaotic markets threaten to trigger a full-blown crisis. Okay, we are viewing this screen share on archive.today. This is an archived version of what was an article published by The Economist that was taken down by The Economist. So we've been saying on this show that these financial markets are buckling at the knees. They're going to collapse. You've got dollar down, bonds down, stock market down, mayhem, trouble, alert, alert. You've had the Secretary of the US Treasury saying, we're focusing on the 10-year, we're focusing on the 10-year, we're focusing on the 10-year. And what have we said the last few episodes? Hey, buddy, wake up. The 10-year's going the wrong way. You're going wrong way down to one way, brother. Wrong way down to one way. The 10-year's going up. The 10-year's going up. The stock market's going down. Bad news. Danger, danger. Okay. Now, The Economist wrote a piece admitting all of this and saying, this is the U.S. financial system is about donezo. We are in serious trouble. Now, they since have taken that down. Shout out to archive.today. So just to set the tone, the U.S. financial system is in serious trouble. Serious trouble. Now, on to my next screen share. What we've seen since is financial authorities saying they will print the money. Now, if you're an avid listener to the show, I know some of this is repetitive, but I'm laying the groundwork in the context. Trust me, hang with me. This is from the Financial Times. Federal Reserve, quote, absolutely, end quote, ready to help stabilize market if needed, top official says. Guys, what we've seen since 2019 is if the Treasuries market gets unruly and gets out of whack, financial authorities will immediately step in and provide liquidity, print the money, support the system. Only way out is through. The only way out is through. Don't care what anyone has to tell you, where they went to school, what they do for work, who their mom or dad is. None of it matters. They have to print the money. As soon as the Treasury market gets out of control, they come, they scream, and they publish in all media, we will print the money. Next, now this is a even bigger deal. Now I'm sharing a Bloomberg article titled, Besant says Treasury has a big toolkit if needed for bonds. Now, we just heard from the Federal Reserve, the central bank that prints the dollars, okay, that they have the Treasury markets back. Now we're hearing from the Treasury Department, the Secretary of the Treasury, saying the Treasury has the tools to print the money.
The Federal Reserve Governor Christopher Waller then makes a confusing statement stating that the inflation brought on the tariffs will be transitory. That doesn't sit well with Jack Mallers. He criticizes the Fed for continuing to employ the same stale justification, one that was wholly incorrect at the time, for the post-COVID inflation crisis. Mallers contends that inflation won't be temporary this time around, just as it wasn't in 2021. The essential lesson, though, is that the Fed's terminology discloses their approach. The money printer is not going to be stopped. They will tolerate increased inflation as the price of life as long as it prevents the system from collapsing. To remain up to date on the most recent developments in Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and the digital economy, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable post notifications.
I've been screaming, sovereign debt crisis, Treasury market is unstable, none of this is going to work. They have to print the money. Buy Bitcoin while you can. Kicking and screaming and kicking and screaming. Now we're seeing it in the headlines. Okay, next thing I want to share with you guys. So 1, we've got the Fed saying they'll print the money. 2, we've got the Treasury saying they'll print the money. Now what's 3? 3 is the U.S. banking system will help print the money. Treasury explores whether to ease capital rule on U.S. bonds. This is the SLR. We've been saying this on this show over and over and over and over again. There is a rule that requires banks to post necessary collateral to use leverage to participate in the bond market. They are looking to revoke and change that rule so that banks can buy unlimited amount of dog shit debt for the U.S. government without posting any collateral. This makes them unlimited buyers supplying unlimited demand for a product that nobody wants, which is lending money to someone who's already $36 trillion in debt. Okay, so recap. The Economist comes out and says, we're screwed. The U.S. financial system almost just collapsed. The Fed then comes out and says, we will print the money. The Treasury Secretary then comes out and says, I will print the money also. The U.S. banking system then also comes out and says, please help us participate in printing thy money. Printing the money. Now, last one I want to share as far as news that's telling you exactly what's going to happen is from CNBC. Title, Fed Governor Waller sees tariff inflation as, quote, transitory, end quote, in tush-push comparison. I couldn't believe they're using this transitory word again. They just got crucified for using the transitory word through COVID inflation. Crucified. It's transitory, it's transitory, it's transitory. Oh, wasn't transitory. It broke every inflation record in America. Wasn't transitory. Either you're a liar or you're stupid. Either way, it's dangerous. Okay? They're back. Fed Governor Waller sees tariff inflation as transitory. First of all, let's break this down. It's an admission that tariffs are inflationary. Let's not let that slide. Embedded in this statement is that tariffs are inflationary. They're just saying it's transitory. By the way, guys, their admission of saying it's transitory, all they're saying is we're going to print the money anyway. We're not taking it seriously. It's transitory. It'll pass. We don't give a shit. That's what they're saying. Okay? So let's recap. The Economist says, little does anyone know the U.S. financial system was about to fall apart. but we knew on the Money Matters podcast, we knew because we've been saying dollar down, bonds down, stock market down. This isn't working. Mayhem. They're going to have to print the money. We knew. The world didn't know. We knew, the world didn't know. Economist says the U.S. financial system is about to fall apart. Then the Fed comes out and says, we will print the money. The Treasury comes out and says, we will also print the money. The U.S. banking says, change the rule so that we can also print the money. Then the Fed says, oh yeah, in this worry about inflation because of tariffs, transitory, AKA, we don't give a shit. We're still going to print the money, okay? I often say financial markets aren't that complicated if you're paying attention, okay? All you got to do is own something they can't make more of and pay attention. But this gives me validation. Bitcoin decorrelates from the stock market. It decorrelates from this risk idea because it leads. It's a truth machine. It's the only free market we have left. It's the only fixed supply market in the history of mankind. The only other asset of yours you can't make any more of, no matter how hard you try, is your time. Time in Bitcoin, only fixed supply. Everything else, if there's enough demand, you'll make more. So Bitcoin is talking to us. It's telling us something. It's starting to decorrelate. In my opinion, it smells the money printer. It smells the Fed, the Treasury, and the U.S. banking system saying, we almost crashed the economy. We are coming to save the day and print the money. Print the money. I've been saying it on this show over and over and over and over again. Bitcoin will decorrelate from the stock market. Bitcoin will trade like gold. Bitcoin will catch up to gold. Bitcoin will outperform gold this cycle. Be patient, stay humble, stack sats. Woo! I'm fired up. What can I say? It's happening. What a time to be alive. Thank you, Satoshi.
In closing, Jack Mallers captures the urgency of someone who has been raising the alarm for months and suddenly sees everything he has been warning about come to pass in real time. He reminds us that he has been screaming about the escalating crises of sovereign debt, the volatility of the U.S. Treasury market, and the fact that the entire financial system depends on one thing, the printing of additional money. He explains the order of events to us. First, the U.S. financial system nearly collapsed, according to a rare, swiftly removed piece published in The Economist. The Federal Reserve then effectively affirms it by indicating that they will print money to keep the economy stable. The same is said by Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. Even the American banking industry is now lining up to ask for modifications to important regulations that would allow them to purchase a limitless amount of government debt without having to provide collateral. This implies that banks can use borrowed funds to buy up enormous quantities of dangerous government bonds that no one else wants, with no responsibility. A concerted attempt is being made to invent demand for U.S. debt, a product that the market isn't genuinely interested in. Mallers encourages viewers to cut through the clutter. He argues the answer is straightforward. Denial and duct tape are keeping the financial system afloat. Policymakers' only option is to reinfuse the system with funds. Bitcoin and other assets with a fixed supply then serve as a lifeboat. He closes on a strong point. Bitcoin is beginning to separate from conventional markets. It is acting more like a safe haven than a tech stock. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable notifications if you thought his viewpoint was helpful so you don't miss any updates. We'd love to know what you think about the future of cryptocurrency markets, so please share your ideas in the comments section. We appreciate your time and hope to see you in the next video.